And one of the most prominent conspiracy theories, of course, JFK.
That one
Was
is
there a
fishy.
shooter on the grassy knoll?
That one is kind of fishy.
It is a little fishy. Do you think he could have shot? Was it twice? I think
There was 3 times.
There were 3 shots, right?
Yeah, it was 3 shots.
Welcome to the Blue Lounge Podcast. Come spend some time in our idiocy and feel better about yourself. Let's get started. Conspiracy theories.
The NFL is rigged.
It's starting to look like that is all I'm saying.
Did you see that play with Mahomes when I can't remember what game it was, where the guy hit the blocker instead of hitting Mahomes and the Chiefs got the first down? Like, I just saw it earlier.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I'll have to send you the video, but apparently I don't remember what game it was. I want to say it was the Broncos maybe. And the DB is coming up into the frame and has a chance to stop Mahomes from getting the first down, and hits the guy who's blocking for Mahomes instead of hitting Mahomes. Yeah.
Interesting. So do you think that since now everybody knows about the possible conspiracy theory revolving around a scripted NFL, do you think they'll change the script? Or is it too late now to do it?
I think you would have to. Like, I mean, I
would think so too.
So if we're talking about that the NFL then it's scripted for a reason. It's got to be to where this franchise is going to win this year because,
Yeah, but you think that if they're going to do that, they would like rotate through franchises, be like, well, the Dolphins haven't won.
Everybody loves the dynasty, right? So like
No.
Yeah, they do. There was not a Patriots fan outside of New England before.
I know they loved it, but nobody else did.
Right. Before the 2000s, there was not a Patriots fan outside of New England. And now there's Patriots fans.
Well, there was.
Everywhere.
I was always a Patriots fan. I had to stop being a Patriots fan when they started winning.
But you were actually a Buccaneers fan.
No, I've been a Buccaneers fan. I was actually a Patriots fan for Drew Bledsoe.
Right.
But then Brady took over for him and it pissed me off.
Right.
So I had to stop being a Patriots fan. And then they started winning. So I really couldn't go back to being a Patriots fan after that.
Right. Well, I think the point remains that everybody loves the dynasty and dynasties make money. So
it's been Kansas City in the lead the whole time. And now
they're calling a touchback. How's that a touchback?
He made it in. I don't know. Anyhow, if the Ravens win, that's just kind of one more notch in the conspiracy belt of it being scripted. Oh, it was a fumble.
Well, but if it doesn't go out of the back of the end zone, that's a live ball in the end zone. Oh,
they recovered
it.
So that would be a touchback.
Yeah, that would be a touchback. Well, doesn't look like the conspiracy is working out.
I mean, that because they would have to change it. Because
change it. Yeah.
What news station was it that put the
that I don't know.
The Chiefs.
I've never seen.
The Ravens and the Niners Super Bowl.
I saw the picture of
the picture of it.
Right.
But I didn't see that it was an actual post, but yeah, it supposedly was I'm assuming it's not a doctored picture.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things, though, right? Is
do we know?
Do we know? Because there's no watermark at the bottom as to what station it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I don't know, but it would seem to fit. I mean, the guy's theory about the colors, and I think it was who's on the color on top is the one that's going to win.
That's what he says. So
the colors are red and purple, and he's always said it's been 49ers and the Ravens, but I guess because it can't be the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Right.
The red could technically be the Chiefs or the 49ers, but
then the only purple team
is the Ravens.
Well, so how many purple teams are there in
Vikings,
total?
Vikings, Ravens.
There's 2.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So
do they come up with the things at the beginning of the season, or closer to the end of the season?
I feel like I didn't see this logo until probably week 14 or so.
Yeah, I think they come up with them later in the season. Yeah. But I mean, but they still have some argument because like 1 or 2 can be a coincidence, but there's been 3 apparently now, and
Well, and
possibly 4 with this one.
so remember one of these past times we were talking about how human memory is not that reliable. You could go back and say, you know, that they've done this every time, and or they always released the logo before the Super Bowl, and it's possible that they didn't actually release the Super Bowl back then. That they didn't actually release the logo until the teams were decided, and then they picked the colors based off of the teams that are playing.
Yeah, but I think they're just talking about like the past,
Right.
well, the past 3
Right.
before this one. Are the only ones that they've actually said anything about. I don't think they've gone back further than that.
Right.
So maybe
I
it's
don't
only a recent
because I don't think they
scripting.
used the colors. They used colors in it before. It was always just the Roman numerals.
Always just the room is silver.
Yeah, silver,
Maybe.
gold. Yeah.
Only when they started scripting it did they make it colored.
Yeah, that's when they started, and that's how they told the rest of the league who was going to win.
That's right. I feel like it would have to be a really big conspiracy to be able to do something of that nature. Like you'd have to get owners involved, coaches involved, the teams involved.
Yeah.
Or do you just have the refs call the game
and
like they see it?
And somebody would say something like if somebody was
Well,
involved
yeah, you would
in
think
it,
the players
it
would
would
be
be
pissed
like,
about that. Like, no, I don't
yeah,
want to. Like, you better
like
be paying me
Mahomes giving
extra
it-
if we're going to be losing.
like Mahomes giving an interview and say, well, you know, it just wasn't in the script this time. I mean, it just wasn't
Yeah,
meant to
right.
be.
It just
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be. Did I say script? I didn't mean
I
script.
didn't mean script. You scrubbed that out.
You're going to edit this, right? Oh, it's live.
No, and besides all that, as a fan of sports in general, like I don't want it to be true. And
Yeah,
I don't
either.
think it is true, but I definitely don't want it to be true.
Yeah, I would be so irritated and angry if it were true.
If I found out that it was true.
Because essentially you're just cheering for your team for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would piss a whole lot of people off.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's true.
All right, other conspiracy theories. Did you know, because I didn't until I was looking into conspiracy theories, that apparently the youngins of today don't either, and this isn't just them because I've heard it before, but either don't believe the Holocaust happened or they don't think it was as bad as the history books say it was.
Well, that's one of the things that so I was a history buff for a long time, all through high school, and was going to major in history in college, but all that changed anyway, regardless. But that's one of the things that we've been talking about for years is that they slowly start writing out things like the Holocaust, where they like it. When we were in school, we learned a lot about it. Like we read the Diary of Anne Frank, and like
and the fact that a lot of the people in the concentration camps were definitely still alive when we were young.
Yeah, I remember seeing
some are still alive now.
I remember seeing people with numbers on their forearms.
So you can't say that it didn't happen because the people are here to show you that it did.
Right.
I guess you can argue that it wasn't as bad as they say it was.
Oh, that
I don't know why you would argue that because it was pretty damn bad.
Yeah, one
Why
are they saying that there is no Holocaust when 6 million people have died in it?
Yeah, I mean, there's way too many oven jokes for not to be as bad as it was.
That's bad. I love a good dark joke.
I know, right? And one of the most prominent conspiracy theories, of course, JFK.
That one
was there a shooter
fishy.
on the grassy knoll?
That one is kind of fishy.
It is a little fishy. Do you think he could have shot? Was it twice? I think
there was 3 times.
There were 3 shots, right?
Yeah, it was 3 shots.
The first one supposedly missed. I thought
was in like 37 seconds or something. Like it was 3 shots and with a bolt action rifle in rapid succession, and one of them being a headshot.
Some people saying it was possible. I mean, I would guess it would be possible if you're like a super bonbon specialist
Right.
because they know their rifles in and out, and they can probably put them together and take them apart in that amount of time.
Yeah, I do think that there are those people that exist in the world. Yeah, there are people that can do that. Was Lee Harvey one of them?
Don't
I don't
know.
know.
Was it a mafia hit?
Right. Was it
Because
was it
was it the
LBJ?
banks?
Was it the banks? Was it LBJ?
Because he was trying to decentralize the banks
Hmm.
at that time too.
Well, if you go back and look at YouTube, uh, I think it was 6 months before he was assassinated. JFK gave his secret society speech, where he talked about the clandestine parts of the government that are the people who really run this country, and then he was off like 6 months later. You should listen to his secret society speech. It's kind of eye opening.
Is it like secret societies like the Illuminati and things
Yeah,
like that?
like the Illuminati, and
Skull and
like
Bones,
yeah,
those guys.
yeah.
So those societies do exist. That's not a conspiracy.
That is not a conspiracy. The Skull and Bones Society, it does actually exist. Now I don't know what they run. Illuminati, I don't know if they actually exist. I'm pretty sure they do. But I don't know that they call themselves the Illuminati. I think that's
What about the Templars? Did they exist?
they did exist at some point in history. I don't know if they still do.
Surely they passed down, right?
Right.
Okay.
The Masons, the Freemasons.
No, the Freemasons exist.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're in a history book somewhere talking about the
they do
Freemasons.
exist.
So they definitely exist. 9/11 is a huge one as well. You can go down a rabbit hole with that fucking thing.
So the only question that I will ask to anybody is, how did Building 7 fall? 3 buildings fell that day. 2 of them were hit by airplanes. So we can just
apparently
say,
it was more than 3. Like apparently Building 7 and a few others around it.
Right. How did Building 7
there were at
fall?
least 2 or 3 other buildings with Building 7 that fell.
So I'll give you that 2 of them were hit by airplanes, and they fell because jet fuel fire and structural impact from an airplane. I'll give you that. Building 7 was not hit by an airplane, and it fell.
So I don't know much about structural engineering.
Right.
Hitting a building at the top, does that generally topple a building, or does it just cripple the building at the top?
See, now you're asking me to get into. See, the footage of the building falling, it looks like it's in free fall, like it's just being demolished from the top down, and I don't feel like that's what would actually happen. But
we're also not building engineers.
Yeah, I'm not a structural engineer.
Because there are people that say that yes, it would have. Jet fuel does melt steel. Apparently, that's what they say. I've never tested it. I don't have jet fuel to test it on, or steel. Right.
So or gigantic I-beams.
That's right. So I don't know. It's probably a really hot fire. So
the only question, like I said, the only question I have is, how did Building 7 fall? That's it. That's the only question you got.
So how much, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a conspiracy theorist are you?
I'm a pretty avid conspiracy theorist.
So
now I don't know
7, 8?
Probably an 8.
Probably an 8.
But I'm not one of these people that I don't believe that their birds are robots and have cameras in them and stuff. Like, I don't believe.
That started as a joke, right? Like that was
No, I know.
Started as a joke, but apparently it has taken on a life of its own. All birds are robots, or sorry, cameras. Yeah. Spy cameras.
I like a good conspiracy theory, especially one that's well thought out and makes you go, huh. So here's my rationale for this, right? So the people who are in charge of things, like if you were in charge of whatever, like you want to stay in power because you like your lifestyle. And in order for you to stay in power, you have to scheme and plot and do these things in order to maintain your power, right? And so us theorizing over the reason why you're doing what you're doing is how a conspiracy theory is born, right? Because so here's the current running conspiracy in my head, the question that needs to be answered. So everybody's talking about the influx of migrants at the Texas border, and now Texas has got the National Guard out there, and it's a standoff between the federal government and Texas, right? My question,
and apparently 25 other states who
my
are
question
backing
is,
Texas.
why does the federal government want the border to be open? What is the reason?
Did you hear that in the 3 years that Biden's been in office, and we're not a political podcast, but I mean, we do live in Texas, so this is going on, but apparently the 3 years that Biden's been in office, 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed our border. That's a lot of fucking
Did you see the one of that dude that says you should know who I am?
Yeah, they said that he was a terrorist. He's a known terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sent you.
And he's here.
Did he get through?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I did see earlier today, I think the federal border guards are saying that they will not arrest the Texas National Guard. So that's good.
Yeah, I think you can't. I think that there's no way that the Supreme Court doesn't side with Texas.
They already haven't.
Well, so it was adjourned to be ruled on later, right? It's not.
But they said in the meantime for Texas to allow the border guards in, and Texas was like, nah.
But the point is that it hasn't officially been ruled on.
Gotcha. I knew they were appealing it.
Right.
But, Ken Paxton and Governor Abbott are like, nope.
Yeah, well, now there's other states that are loaning their National Guard too.
Yeah. There's, I think, 15 states have loaned their...
So the conspiracy is why? Why do you want the border to be open? Why? And nobody's asking that question.
Apparently, Arizona, I saw Arizona's senator, one of them, held a press conference and was saying the same thing that basically Texas has said, like, we're not letting immigrants through anymore because, when they stop coming through here, they go through Arizona.
Right.
And so, yeah, apparently they're putting their foot down as well.
And they can go through Arizona. They can go through California.
Yeah. So, well, California can let them in.
Yeah. I hear California wants to be a sanctuary.
They're heavily... So. I mean, New York did, so Abbott busted a bunch of people up there.
That is priceless. I love that.
What was it, Chicago and New York?
He was like... Talk about FAFO.
There you go.
Talk about FAFO,
right? Yeah, and apparently now New York is like, we don't have resources for our own people because we have to... I know. It's getting out of hand, so the New Yorkers are getting...
were a sanctuary city.
The New Yorkers are getting a little pissed about it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, the funniest one was when he shipped them to Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
That
was funny.
The other ones that we've kind of gone over in other podcasts, which is Flat Earth, Area 51, COVID-19 is a big one. It's one of the most recent.
And one of the most recent. What's funny about that whole thing is like in the beginning when you were hearing rumblings of the lab leak theory, like things like YouTube and Facebook.
Apparently, nobody's ever proven that it wasn't a lab. That it was a lab leak.
Now it's the most plausible theory.
But apparently, if you Google it, it's still saying that it was an animal in the market.
Right. Well, now it's the most plausible theory, and anyway, the point is like YouTube, Facebook. We're banning these people for talking about it. Like, why are we not allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, you're supposed to say things like schmack schmeen because you can't say because you can't say the other one. Like, people aren't getting their schmack schmeen. Right. Roswell crash. Have you ever heard of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion?
No,
I hadn't either. Apparently, they are a Jewish conspiracy for world domination.
Okay.
And they say that satanic panic is an 80s, 90s conspiracy theory. I didn't know it was a conspiracy theory other than more of like a movement.
It's more of a maneuver.
A maneuver. I didn't even get that. But we were around for satanic panic.
Yeah.
Lots of people went to jail for that.
Refresh my memory on what that was.
Like Satanists were killing people. Like those 3 boys in that HBO special.
Oh, we talking about the Robin Hood Hills murders?
I don't know if it's Robin Hood Hills, but those three boys were accused of murdering children, and they've been released now. But back when they were arrested, they were saying that it was them because they had dark hair, were loners.
They listened to Metallica.
Yeah, and
I remember hearing about that.
They were saying they were sacrificing.
Yeah, and they were saying it had to do with the lyrics to "Fade to Black," and I'm like, "Fade to Black" was a great song. Man.
We lived in Mesquite and off Lawson Road. Everybody always said that there were Satanists that were around Lawson Road.
Yeah, that they drove around with their lights off, and if you flashed them to turn their lights on, they would wreck into you,
and then you'd get sacrificed.
Yeah.
Every town has something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So satanic panic. That's apparently a little bit of that has come back in. Guess where? Democrats.
The Democrats.
Remember, people were saying that Hollywood and the Democrats are like Satanists, and they're saying that the uppers in Hollywood are Satanists, and
that's the rumor.
Yeah, and like some of the more up and coming stars have started to show you. They show like Billie Eilish and Lady Gaga and how they're putting satanic imagery in their videos and all this other stuff. So apparently Hollywood.
Well, there was that one ad.
Hollywood is satanic.
Some big company sells expensive stuff, and one of the books in the ad, in the image. One of the books was a satanic book.
Yeah. So that's most recently popped up. Satanic panic is making its way back around. They say history repeats itself.
It does.
I didn't realize it would repeat itself in our lifetime.
Well, because people don't know about the Holocaust, and so it comes back around.
That's true.
But that was one of the things that I found interesting about how easily people turn on each other. Because I'm not saying I'm pro or anti-vaccine. What I am saying, though, is how easily people became militant about their stance.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly how. That's how you turn into Jews that are living under your floorboards is because of shit like that.
Yeah, that's true.
If you ever question what side of history you'd have been on if you were alive back then, now you know.
That's an interesting way to put it, because I guess I probably would have been on the hide them in your attic.
Yeah. Anne Frank would have been safe in my house.
Man, I always hope to be that type of person, right. And I think most people do. But I mean, as evidence of the Holocaust, it was not the case for most people.
Right.
But when you feel like your family or whatever is in jeopardy, you're going to do what you think you should do. So one of my questions are, what do you think about QAnon? Is that
I think that's another made up one.
You don't think that someone was, I don't know. I don't even know all the ins and outs of QAnon. I just know that they were the
one
ones.
Of the things that they thought was that R.F. Kennedy Jr. was still alive, and that.
Yeah. And that what was it? Was it Trump was pointing us the way to him or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
There were it was something about a Tiffany box.
Yeah. Yeah, there was something about that.
Yeah.
No, I read, I saw a lot about it, but I don't know that I ever actually believed any of it. It was all interesting.
It's always fascinating to me when conspiracy theories turn out to be true, and everybody before that was just like, "You're a fucking idiot, it's so stupid," and then it becomes true, and then nobody all of a sudden says anything about it anymore.
Where's my apology?
Yeah, It's not like, well, you thought it was true back then. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Right.
It's more of a, yeah, we're just gonna gloss over that.
Right. Well, like I said, to me, it's us theorizing how they're trying to claim more power. Right?
Yeah. This one website I was looking at had things listed as, things that we know did happen. Like, apparently, at one point, big tobacco, keeping the fact that tobacco causes cancer a secret was a conspiracy. And of course, we all know that that's true. I didn't know it was ever a conspiracy.
No, I remember when we were kids, it was a conspiracy to say that tobacco caused cancer.
Ah, well.
Well, remember when we were kids, like pretty much everybody you knew smoked.
Well, that's true. I was about to say, you look at old shows, and whatnot made in that time, and like almost everybody has a cigarette in the show. It's so funny because now, like, you're hard pressed to see anybody, with a cigarette.
It's rare to see somebody with a cigarette anymore.
Yeah, at least in my circle, I don't really.
I know a few people. I know of 2 guys that still smoke.
Everybody vapes now,
right?
Even though it can give them popcorn lung, and
right,
which is that's really even worse. Bad. Yeah. I feel like, and it's so I watched the thing about vapes, and if you're like, it happens mostly when you're smoking excessively. Like, apparently those kids that had popcorn lung were smoking a lot, like the equivalent of like a lot of packs a day.
Really?
Yeah.
And they had those big chief machines where they're just churning out smoke.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't like being in the room where someone's vaping. Like when Taylor has stayed here and she vapes, the room just like has this haze over it, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man. I don't know if she still does, but she did.
I'm pretty sure she still does.
Other ones that turned out to be true: NSA mass surveillance.
Yeah. The guy of which who pointed that out is still wanted.
Yeah, he's still an enemy of the state because he told the truth. I like how we have in our country, we have where you can tell on your company and be safe, supposedly.
But if you tell on the government,
you're
treasonous.
Yeah, it's because it's national security.
Right. Well, like Julian Assange, right? Giving away U.S. secrets,
and he held a lot of stuff back to his own. Like, he even said he held a lot back.
Yeah.
To not give away too much. The fact that he could get that information is scary, but I mean, at least someone's getting it out there. I feel like, so you should know when your government's spying on you and they're not supposed to be. That's part of the thing that makes me a conspiracy theorist. Like, it puts me pretty high on the conspiracy theory list.
Well, look at like Operation Northwoods. Look that up. There's a Wikipedia article about a thing called Operation Northwoods, which was a plan by the U.S. government, U.S. Joint Forces, to do a false flag attack on American people in I believe it was the 50s or the 60s, to garner support for war against Cuba, and it was turned down by whoever was president at the time, and it was classified up until mid 2010s or whatever. And I tell people about that, like, look up Operation Northwoods, and they're like, their jaw hits the floor, and I'm like, but you still trust everything that they're telling you, right?
Yeah. I mean, our CIA does some pretty fucked up shit. Like, they've started wars in other countries.
Oh yeah.
To put someone in office that they want in office, or that we want in office.
But you still trust everything they tell you.
And you think that they can't do that here?
Right.
I forget what Operation Mockingbird is. I looked it up whenever I did this, but of course now I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know that I could recall it right
now. Tuskegee was
the Tuskegee experiments.
Yeah, that was
that's just
messed
morally
up.
Wrong.
Yeah. I think we were talking about it the other day, and someone was like, our government wouldn't do tests on us, and I was like, Tuskegee.
They did.
They would.
They
did.
And they did.
They have. They absolutely have, and they will. They would definitely do it again.
Yeah.
So apparently, if you believed those, then you're okay.
And the shitty thing about it though is like even if you knew about these things, all they do is arrest you and then slander you on the news, and then everybody thinks that you're the asshole.
Yeah. I mean, because it doesn't take much to slander a person, really. You could do it fairly easily with virtually anybody. I'd be easy to slander, and I feel like I don't do a whole lot of stuff that that could get me in trouble with people. Easily. But it just goes from like that's okay. There's some that are out there that they have questions about, like the Denver International Airport. Have you heard about that? Apparently.
Is that the one with the demon and the...
Yeah. So
I heard something about that.
So there's that one, Roswell, Area 51, UFOs, JFK assassination. Those are all ones that they have that are questionable, I guess, on their eyes. So they're okay to believe. And then it just goes downhill from there because they go to false, but mostly harmless. So you're still okay because it's not harming anybody. And those are things like crop circles, Bigfoot. Apparently, people think Greta Thunberg is a time traveler. Don't know why. Cryptids like this. How
dare you?
The aliens built Stonehenge.
Well, how about you bitch China because they produce more than we do?
I don't want to get into the. That's a whole different conversation.
Well, and that's okay. To me, that's one of the asinine parts of this conversation. Not this, but the conversation of CO2 emissions. Like you and I, as individuals, have a very minuscule impact as far as our CO2 emissions. It's these companies that make all these things that you buy. But yet, whenever the news is telling you that you need to reduce your impact, you need to do these things, you need to do that. Well, how about you make these companies not package these products in a way that
and you say that, but there's like so many natural things that put out so much more bad shit for the environment than we do.
The point that I'm making is that they try to make you as an individual feel responsible for the environment when you or I have very little impact on the environment at all.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah. And apparently the ones that are dangerous to ourselves and others. Apparently people started thinking that Finland doesn't exist. Like really? Somebody has decided that
there's a lot of really good hockey players that come from somewhere.
Canada. They all come from Canada. Yeah. Apparently it's bad to believe that global warming is a hoax. This is where it's bad to believe that jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't tested it.
Yeah.
Anti-vaxxers are bad. Oh, one of them said that it's bad to believe that COVID-19 was made in a lab, and I'm like, oh, I believe that one.
You're right. What if it's the only plausible theory?
I feel like it's pretty plausible. People think that the government made.
We'll just have to do better on the next one, right? Isn't that what?
The people think that the government made HIV and AIDS to terminate African Americans.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
But I feel like some people said that COVID-19 also was built to do that.
We'll just have to do better on the next one, right? Isn't that what Bill Gates said?
COVID missed them. HIV missed them, so I guess they got to figure something else out.
Right.
The ones that just apparently are super terrible for you to believe and just make you crazy would be QAnon.
Mm-hmm.
The world being run by secret societies or society elites, which would be in those secret societies.
That's bad for you to think, huh? Even though that's definitely true.
Bad. It's apparently.
So there's this guy who I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's Indian, I believe. One of the richest men in the world, and he said in a speech that I was watching him give that he wanted to sit at the table with those people that make the actual decisions in the world. And I can't remember his name, but he said it like this. It's a real thing. Anyway,
apparently the deep state is not a thing. they think.
Why did they overturn the anti-propaganda act?
Because
Smith Month.
they don't propagandize anything anyway. They only spit the truth.
Why'd they overturn the Smith Month act?
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. That was Obama, right?
Yeah, that was Obama.
Apparently, some people think there are subliminal messages in kids shows. I'm not sure what subliminal messages they're going
they
for.
do draw dicks and shit in there.
Do they?
Well, there's a whole YouTube channel on Disney hiding a Disney artist hiding things in the art. Like I can't remember.
I mean, when you grow up and you look back on some of the cartoons you watch, you all of a sudden pick up on those things like, oh shit. Yeah. Like I didn't see that.
This was an adult joke. And we just thought it was funny when we were kids.
Yeah.
Because we didn't understand what
mom
and dad were like,
damn. Do they put stuff in like Dora the Explorer?
Dad, I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I've never watched it, but I think that's kind of what they're talking about. We were talking the other day about how you have kids or how kids sing certain songs and you don't think about them until you like the I Want Candy song. Mm-hmm. I didn't think about it at all until little Taylor was singing it one day in the car and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you know what that song's about?
Do you know what she's saying?
I didn't even think about that. So, Bill Gates microchipping people?
Well, I don't know that he's microchipping people. But,
well, I mean, in the vaccine that came out, there were tiny nanobots.
I forgot about that one. Part of the injection was to inject you with a microchip.
A microchip. I just want to be 100% transparent and let you guys know that there were no nanobots or any tracking devices in the vaccine. It was just a conspiracy theory. The vaccine is completely safe. Thank you. Yeah.
So they can keep track of you even though you're carrying the thing that they keep track of you with.
Yeah. I mean, that hacker guy said that was the hacker guy? I don't know. It doesn't matter. There was a TikTok that a dude was talking about your cell phone. He's like, I can listen to your cell phone even when you take the battery out.
Yeah, that was on the...
I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good podcast.
Yeah, that when he's talking to that hacker guy, it's really interesting.
Dude, I bought a Faraday box.
He made himself he talked about it the other day. He made himself an ethical hacker. He's like, I wasn't always an ethical hacker. He's like, I did some shit. Right. He's like, I only do good now because I want to.
Right. Well, based off of that, one of the episodes with him in it, the guy you're talking about, mm-hmm. I bought a Faraday box for my house to put my car keys in because my truck sits in the driveway. And apparently, if you get close enough with a radio transmitter, it can pick up the signal from my key and start my truck.
There's been a video of like they showed two car thieves at this person's house at night. They have like, I don't know if it's an antenna or just a hanger, but like one of them's holding it and they're like positioning the hanger and they wait and the keys will unlock the car and then they just fucking drive off with the car without the keys. Yeah. I'm like, I'm so glad we're behind a fence.
Right. Yeah, so I got a Faraday box at my house that my keys go into.
You know what has made me slightly paranoid? And as I get older, I find I'm more and more in the prepper category. But I actually don't prep. I just worry about the shit that I probably should prep for.
I find myself more and more in the prepper category.
This book I was reading was talking about a high-level EMP going off, and it would basically take out everything, phones, cars, everything, except for like your older cars aren't made with computers, so they would be fine.
Right.
And I'm like, can I just keep my house in a Faraday cage? Because if you have a Faraday cage, EMPs aren't going to touch it.
Well, that's something to research then, is what needs to be protected, right? It's the processors.
I keep thinking
it's not the grid itself, it's the process. I think it's the processor.
I keep thinking that I need to get like long range walkie-talkies and you take one and we have one. So if the phones go out, then I still have a way to communicate.
Right.
I just don't know how long of range walkie-talkies have. Maybe we should get into the shortwave radio situation.
Handheld radio.
and become ham radio operators.
I guess so.
That's the problem with being a conspiracy theorist also, is it makes you slightly bit paranoid
Yeah.
about everything.
It does. It certainly does. Well, thank you for joining us in our idiocy.
We definitely are idiots. We're Phaleon and Binks of the Blue Lounge Podcast. That's our show, and thank you for spending time with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time.